So basically what we're headed to is a state is going to tell us how to control our body, and the state is connected to big pharma, big hospitals, big insurance. So this is basically sort of the last frontier of, control that we had. This fight is so important. One is the kids, but what's going to happen when you're going to need vaccinations to get your driver's license, vaccinations to go to the gym, vaccinations to go to any public place? This is total control of the human bloodstream.
Dr. Shiva Ayyadurai, his resume is obviously as long as the Tale of Two Cities is, but I get Dr. Shiva on today to talk about the vaccine choice movement, which has been a focal point for a lot of people here recently, vaccine choice. Now, you have your own labs that you can sit here and scientifically talk about what vaccines do and why vaccine choice is important, or at least informed vaccine choice is important. So talk about, though, what's going on with the vaccine choice, all the protests, all the rallies, and why people are standing up against forced vaccinations.
Yeah, so Owen, I think if you look at the vaccine movement, it's been going on for around 17 years. I think one of the critical elements, for me, as you shared, I've been doing research on health probably for about 40 years of my life, back when I was 14, all the way to my various degrees at MIT. But one of the areas that my PhD area was on is what's called the immune system. And the key word in that, Owen, is the word system, right? It's not just immunology. The problem is the MDs and the pediatricians, they're basically trained on looking at pieces of the body. They don't really understand a systems approach. So my work has been looking at the immune system. And so when I looked at this problem, and this movement's been around for a long time, Alex has talked about it, others, but one of the fundamental keys that was missing here was a systems approach to this. And what I really brought to the movement was to tell people, look, you need to look at the modern immune system, which is very different than the immune theory that was used to build vaccines, which is fundamentally around 50 to 150 years old. So this is one of the key points. Vaccination was based on a model of basically a two-box model, the adaptive and the innate system. Very simple model for that time, back in the 50s, going back to 1915. And it said if you inject ourselves with this thing called a vaccine, short-circuiting the innate immune system. The innate immune system, Owen, is how we normally get access. I got measles. I don't know if you got it, infections. You get it through your eyes, your ears. It goes through the normal mechanism. It turns on a whole bunch of molecular systems, which in many ways is actually good for you. Okay.
Well, no, it's kind of like, you could call it like, it's like an autoimmune system. It's kind of like we have involuntary muscles. And it's like if you took a vaccine to turn off your involuntary muscles, and it's like now you have to sit here and tell your heart to beat, your liver to cleanse itself, you would die.
Well, yeah, it's basically that the body over billions of years has figured out a way that we're supposed to get access to pathogens. And when these pathogens come, they turn on a whole series of molecular reactions, which get us ready to fight and be ready to survive. I mean, the immune system is a very complex system, but the bottom line here is,
well, let's do this. We got to go to break. Let's have the whole segment here for you to really break this down succinctly in the next segment, and so that we can put this report out. Because again, folks, they sit here and they say, oh, safe and effective, safe and effective, safe and effective. No, the science says you can't make that claim. In fact, the science says it's not safe and effective. Now, that doesn't mean there might be good vaccines, but I mean, it should not be forced. Well, my cameraman is officially a genius. He just poured himself a Turbo Force drink. And so the camera angles are probably about to be so elite. I don't even know if we can handle it. Dr. Shiva Ayyadurai is with us. Now, he's very well studied on the science of the immune system and what vaccines are doing to it. So I want to give him the floor to just even recap what you were just saying and just get into all of it here so we can put this segment out and people can understand. Look, folks, it's about vaccine choice, okay? That's what it's all about. You cannot force people to take these vaccines because they're not fully safe and effective. And in fact, we know that they can damage the immune system. So Dr. Shiva Ayyadurai, again, recap what you were saying about how old the models are of the understanding of the immune system that they're going with for these vaccines and what they do negatively to the immune system, Dr. Shiva Ayyadurai.
All right, Owen. So let me break it down. By the way, there's a video I did you can see called The Modern Science of the Immune System. It's out there where I drew a little whiteboard, but let me summarize this. The bottom line is go back 50, 60 years or go back 150 years ago. The concept of the immune system was just two boxes, Owen. Box one was the innate immune system, feeding into the what's called the adaptive immune system. So what's the innate immune system? Very simply, it's the aspect of your body that interacts with the atmosphere, everything around you, your eyes, your mucous membranes, your nose, your gut bacteria, all this stuff. So if I sneeze on you, all that stuff hits your face, hits your respiratory, and that turns on the innate immune system, which tries to pummel that pathogen out. Then that takes around 0 to 3 days. Then it goes to the adaptive immune system, which then tries to, like a Navy SEAL with a sharpshooter, take out that one pathogen. So anyway, that's the old model of the immune system, Owen, that was used to develop vaccines, which said, okay, instead of getting the pathogens coming to you through your eyes and your nose and me sneezing on you, giving you measles, I'm going to try to outsmart nature. I'm going to go stick a vaccine, which is an artificial equivalent of that pathogen, into the adaptive immune system to turn on the Navy SEALs. You got it? So you subvert and you short circuit this two-box model. All right, so that was a basis of developing vaccines. Big problem. My research, the same thing by the way, what I'm sharing with you, Owen, is what I presented in November at the National Science Foundation in a distinguished lecture I was invited to give. So I'm considered one of the authorities in the field on this. So at that lecture, at that scientific presentation with 200 students and engineers, what I presented was a modern immune system, which has 5 boxes at least, Owen. You have the innate, the adaptive. In between is that a missing link called the interferon system, your gut microbiome, and then your brain, your neural system. All of these 5 things interact. And still today, we're promoting a fake science, an outdated science, which says, I'm going to go stick this thing into your bloodstream, turn on the adaptive immune system, measure it by one variable called antibodies, and if you have that, great, you have an amazing immune system. It's total BS. The reality is when you stick that thing and you turn on the adaptive immune system, the other subsystems, the ankle bone's connected to the foot bone, right? They're going to also try to modulate and achieve homeostasis. So your microbiome may change, your interferon system may turn on, and remember, the gut is connected to the brain. So fundamentally, what's going on here is when they stick those vaccines in, by the way, the entire vaccine development process has very little real safety assessment standards that are equivalent even to pharma or biomedical devices. They subverted that. So what we have right now is a system that's saying we're going to give kids 30 different vaccines, 70 doses, the standardized set, and one size fits all. The other point here is in this modern view of the immune system, one size doesn't fit all. It's called personalized medicine. Even the NIH agrees to this. So that means, Owen, your body is different than my body versus anyone else's. We all need different types of nutrients, different types of medical interventions. To force people, as you're saying, to all take the same vaccine schedule without giving choice is completely violation of fundamental human rights. And it's violation of the science, because these guys are using a science that's 50 to 150 years old. Very interesting point. We were at I was at the New Jersey event. People have really embraced the science that we put out. We've started to educate people bottoms up. About 5,000 to 6,000 people were there, and I was sharing this. A week before that, Owen, I was going to share this at another science event at my old high school. Okay, a woman in that high school called up the superintendent and said that I'm an anti-Semite. Okay, to shut that entire conference down. This woman, by the way, is an executive at Blue Cross Blue Shield, which gives vaccines, which distributes vaccines, which profits from them. And her husband is one of the top, he's a former general counsel of the Democratic Party of New Jersey. So my coming into this picture, an MIT PhD with 4 degrees, sharing the science, saying the science ain't settled. And if we even use modern science, it shows that there are no risk assessment, that the modern science of the immune system shows it's far more complicated. They're using an outdated science. They don't want to hear this. But the fundamental point here is we are violating human rights. We're violating the First Amendment. We're violating so many basic issues here.
And I just got to say, because I want to get into this before the break, but I just got to say, calling you an anti-Semite, I'm sorry, that's hilarious. And by the way, one of your main campaign managers that you were running for office against that crook Elizabeth Warren, happens to be Jewish, and we're very proud of what Lewis is doing, by the way, just to point that out. But I want to get this in before the break here, because if I'm hearing you right, what I think comes on the opposite end of this, should we get these forced vaccinations, you're basically going to end up with an entire population of people that now is relying on the medical industry, because now you don't even have an immune system without the vaccine.
Well, here's the thing, Owen. The fundamental, if you go down to what is health, how do you measure a healthy individual? It's called resilience, which means you should be able to take a hit and bounce back, right? That's what health is. Now, we were designed to take in certain pathogens, and this very beautiful orchestrated immune system was trained to respond and get stronger and stronger and stronger. When we subvert this immune system, when we subvert it to the adaptive immune system, we don't allow the other natural processes to take place. So if those other natural processes do not take place, they're going to think something happened in the body.
Which is perfect. I mean, that's what a drug dealer does. They give you the first hit to get you high, and then you have to rely on it. And by the way, you've also been fighting Monsanto, and that gets into the other end of this, which is the gut bacteria that we need that also builds the immune system. Well, now with all the Monsantoized food, we don't get the gut bacteria.
We don't get the gut bacteria. So basically what we're headed to is the state is going to tell us how to control our body, and the state is connected to big pharma, big hospitals, big insurance. So this is basically sort of the last frontier of, control that we had. This fight is so important. One is the kids, but what's going to happen when you're going to need vaccinations to get your driver's license, vaccinations to go to the gym, vaccinations to go to any public place? This is total control of the human bloodstream. This is beyond vaccines. It's essentially the total assault of the state telling you that they know better, that they know better than the mothers, they know better than your own.
It's total corporate medical tyranny. And by the way, they're to say it's anti-Semitic. They're the ones anti-Semitic forcing this on Orthodox Jews that don't believe in putting these foreign agents in your body.
This woman, by the way, is a liberal Jew who never said anything about the Jews being beaten and attacked for all this time. The real anti-Semites are people who use a dog whistle of anti-Semite. The real racists are people who use a dog whistle of racism or white.
All right. Shiva could talk all day about this issue, but I got to get to your calls, and I got other news to get to, but I want to get a final statement from him here. But first, I want to show something from the official Blue Cross Blue Shield document. Now, look, I'm not a legal document medical expert, and quite frankly, I was reading this stuff last night, and I can't even fully understand it. But what this looks to me, and I can't even believe it. That's why I don't even want to report on it almost, but I'll show this right now, because they say, oh, there's no incentive for doctors to give out vaccines. Well, this is an official Blue Cross Blue Shield document that says, it literally, the box says quality incentive measures, and then it says a $400 payout for childhood immunizations, combo 10. So, that's all the vaccines they hit the kid with. So, I mean, my understanding from this is it's showing you through Blue Cross Blue Shield, the Blue Care Network, the payouts that people get when they are giving the doctors, I guess, that are engaging in this when they give out vaccines. But again, I'm not a medical expert. Maybe Dr. Shiva can understand this, or maybe a medical expert can call in if you want to. We do have open lines. I'm about to start taking your calls. But that's what it means to me. And of course they are. Of course, the vaccine manufacturer is going to be giving kickbacks to the hospitals and the doctors. But Dr. Shiva Ayyadurai, just give a 2-minute finalization summary recount before we let you go.
Yeah. Oh, and on the Blue Cross Blue Shield thing, very quickly, Blue Cross Blue Shield not only gives incentives to the pediatricians, because pediatricians actually don't really make a lot of money giving it. So they give those incentives. And in addition, in New Jersey, Blue Cross Blue Shield Horizon has struck a deal with the government of the New Jersey state to reimburse for the vaccine. So basically tax dollars are pummeled over or funneled over to pharma to actually pay for those vaccines, your tax dollars. But fundamentally, the summary here is A, the science ain't settled. B, the science that is being used to promote vaccinations upon all of us is based on a 65 to 150-year-old science. And I'll debate anyone on this, invite anyone on, and we'll talk to them about this, see if they can defend that.
No, they won't. They won't debate you. They keep you off debate stages.
They keep me off debate stages. Third is there is no risk assessment standards for vaccines, meaning that if you go ask a doctor, hey, what's the risk if I take this versus I don't take it. They can't tell you the risk. And if they do try to tell you the risk, it's based on numbers that they haven't even calculated properly. So that's where that is at. No risk assessment. There's no vaccine safety assessment risk standards, and the science is old. And the third point here is one size does not fit all. We have a whole array of medical interventions now. You can take food and supplements, and if you want to go get surgery, or if you want to do exercise or yoga, whatever, we have a whole a buffet of medical interventions. To say that all of us have to get the same intervention under, because our genetics are the same, is total nonsense. And it's not only a violation of the First Amendment and choice, but it's a violation of the scientific premise of how our bodies are run, Owen.
And by the way, what you just said, one of the head doctors at the World Health Organization and the UN said exactly what you just said. We don't have enough answers when people come to us, hey, my child got a vaccine and died. They don't know what to say.
They don't know. And Owen, when we got into this in September, October, we ran the first international vaccine risk assessment conference. I looked at this and I said, why didn't the NIH and NSF do this? 650 people showed up, Owen.
And they won't even do an official study. They'll study, the testicular fortitude of, the horned toad and the Florida Everglades, but we won't do a cross study between non-vaccinated children and vaccinated children. Dr. Shiva Ayyadurai, excellent as always. As this topic continues to trend, we'll probably get you back on air.